Welcome back. This is episode 8 of the series Women Who Owned New Orleans. Be sure to check out all of the series and share them so we can get their names known far and wide. Today's episode is focusing on Lulu White. Now, Lulu White can sometimes be considered a controversial figure. However, she was a very prominent entrepreneur and madam known as the Diamond Queen because she literally rocked diamonds and jewelry in what some would call excess, but I just call it her flair. And Lulu White gave a safe space for women to make their own money and direct their own space. And once again, in a time frame whenever the economic opportunities were very limited. So the women would come into Mahogany Hall, which was her large mansion that she built in Storyville. The location is at 235 Basin Street, so you can still check out part of the original structure still remains there at the site, and the women would come there and entertain the men who would visit. They would, drink alcohol. They would, of course, have playtime. Nevertheless, that was the way that Lulu White and the women around her built their wealth. Now, Lulu White was also unmatched in self promotion. She literally issued her own souvenir booklets that people could buy, and her photograph appears in both her own guide called New Mahogany Hall and the Red Book. Now, she wasn't without controversy also because she did get in trouble with the law several times. She was arrested several times over the years, mostly for dramas that would happen at her, house there at Mahogany Hall. During the time of Prohibition, she continued to sell alcohol sometimes and got in trouble for that. And so occasionally for violent offenses, they do say that she was accused of attempted murder. I'm going to say dealing with who she was dealing with, I'm not so sure she was in the wrong. It might have been self defense against either for herself or for one of the girls at the house. But she did not actually serve any time in jail until after Storyville was officially closed in 1917. So on November 6, 1918, Lulu White was officially arrested for violating what was called the Draft Act. Now, to be honest, a lot of people have said that the Draft Act and other initiatives to close down Storyville and to restrict the work of Lulu White and the women in that industry was a control mechanism because these women were wealthy and directing their own paths. And so this was a way of cracking down. The Draft Act was prohibiting any prostitution within a certain amount of space around a military facility. And so, since she continued to operate the brothel and unabashedly so, she was arrested and sentenced to a year and a day in prison. But after a few months, she applied for a pardon and indicated that poor health was the reason. President Woodrow Wilson did actually commute her sentence and she was able to be freed. And Lulu White went right on doing exactly what she had been doing before. She returned to New Orleans and started running up her business yet again. She continued to operate her business until she passed away in August 20th, 1931. So, how do you feel about the story of Lulu White? Personally, I feel like it is just a testament to her standing up for trying to make a space, creating autonomy for women to be independent. And, perhaps if there were more options around, the women wouldn't have had to go this route. So, what are your thoughts about it? Drop a comment below. So, however, which way you feel ethically about Lulu White and the other women who own property in Storyville, one thing is for sure that whenever a woman owns space, she's able to direct her own path. As we've noticed so far in this series thus far, this is episode 8, all of the women did something different according to their own beliefs, their own ethics, and blazed a trail going forward and set a legacy that has lasted for generations. So be sure to come back for episode 9 because we're still nowhere near the end. There are so many stories like this to tell. Lulu White and all of the rest. Please share these videos to get their names out there. We want to make sure everyone knows their stories.